I want you to picture something for me. It's 2 a.m. You're lying in bed. The house is quiet. Everyone else is asleep. But you're staring at the ceiling with your phone on your chest, and on that screen is your bank account or your credit card statement. Or maybe it's a collection notice you've been ignoring for 3 weeks because every time you open it, your stomach drops. You're not thinking about your dreams right now. You're doing math in your head. Rent, car payment, minimum balance due, groceries, the prescription you keep putting off. And somehow, the numbers never work out, not even close. You tell yourself, tomorrow I'll figure it out. You tell yourself that a lot. If that's ever been you, raise your hand in your heart, because that 2 a.m. moment, that's one of the loneliest feelings in the modern world, and almost nobody talks about it. Here's what the headlines won't tell you. Right now, the average American household carries over $100,000 in total debt. Mortgages, auto loans, student loans, and credit cards combined. Consumer credit card debt in the United States alone crossed $1.3 trillion in 2024. $1.3 trillion? That's not a statistic. That's millions of human beings lying awake at 2 a.m. And here's the part that breaks my heart. Most of those people are not irresponsible. They are not lazy. They are not stupid. They are people who were never taught the rules of the game they're being forced to play. They were handed credit cards at 18 with no instructions. They were told to go to college and handed $40,000 in loans with no explanation of interest. They bought a car because they needed to get to work, and they signed documents they barely had time to read. They played the game. They just didn't know the rules. Today, I am going to give you one rule, just one, and it is so simple, so small, and so profoundly powerful that I promise you, if you commit to it starting today, it will change the trajectory of your financial life. Not in 30 years, not in 10, you will feel it within 90 days. It's called the 1% rule, and it turns out you don't need to be rich to win. You just need to be 1% better than you were yesterday. But before we get to the solution, I want to sit with the problem for a moment, because I think we rush past the pain too quickly. We say just budget better and cut the lattes, as if debt is just a math problem. It's not just a math problem. Debt is a weight, a living, breathing weight that follows you into every room you walk into. It's there when you're at your kid's birthday party, trying to smile for photos while calculating whether the cake cost too much. It's there on date night when you put your card down at the restaurant and you hold your breath just for a second, wondering if it'll go through. It's there in your chest when your boss walks by your desk and you think, if I lost this job, I'd have nothing. Debt changes how you think. Researchers at Princeton and Harvard published a landmark study that found financial scarcity, the constant mental burden of not having enough, literally reduces cognitive capacity. The stress of worrying about money consumes mental bandwidth equivalent to a 13-point drop in IQ. 13 points. That's the difference between sharp and foggy, between creative and reactive, between solution-focused and survival-focused. In other words, debt doesn't just take your money, it takes your mind. And the cruelest part, the system is designed to keep you exactly where you are. Think about minimum payments. You have a $5,000 credit card balance at 20% interest. The minimum payment is, say, $100 a month. Sounds manageable, right? But here's what the credit card company doesn't put in big, bold letters. If you pay only that minimum every single month, it will take you 27 years to pay off that debt, and you'll pay more than $11,000 in interest alone on a $5,000 balance. You will pay more than double what you borrowed, and you'll spend nearly 3 decades doing it. That is not a lending product. That is a trap with a signature line. So how do you escape a trap? Not with one giant heroic leap. Traps don't work that way. You escape a trap with patient, precise, consistent small movements, one careful move at a time. Which brings us to the rule that changes everything. Here is the 1% rule. I want you to hear it clearly, so I'm going to say it twice. Improve your financial behavior by just 1% consistently, and you will create exponential change over time. Say it again, just 1% consistently. Now, what does 1% actually look like in your real life? Let me break it down into 3 flavors. Flavor 1, pay 1% more. If your minimum payment on your credit card is $200 per month, paying 1% more means paying $202. That's $2 extra. The cost of a candy bar. But applied consistently, and we'll show you the math in a moment, those $2 compound into something extraordinary. Flavor 2. Spend 1% less. If you spend $3,000 a month on living expenses, 1% less is $30. $30. That's one fewer fast food run, one fewer impulse Amazon purchase, one subscription you forgot you had. Find it, cut it, redirect it toward your debt. Flavor 3. Invest 1% of income, even while paying off debt. Consistently setting aside 1% of your income to build a small financial cushion changes your psychology. It shifts you from, I am someone who is losing, to, I am someone who is building. And that shift in identity? It is rocket fuel. Now, here's why this works when every other approach fails. The reason most people don't fix their financial situation is not lack of willpower. It's that the solutions they try are too big, too painful, and too unsustainable. I'm going to cut everything and live on rice and beans and pay off all my debt in 18 months. Great, sounds heroic, but 3 weeks later, life happens. The car needs a repair, a friend has a birthday, you're exhausted, and you just want one decent meal, and suddenly the whole plan collapses because it was built on willpower, not systems. The 1% rule is different. It doesn't require willpower, it requires repetition. It's not a diet, it's a new way of eating. You are not trying to change your life in a day. You are trying to shift your trajectory by 1 single degree. And here's the geometry of that. If you change your direction by just 1 degree today, after 1 month, you're in a slightly different place. After 1 year, you're somewhere completely different. After 5 years, you are on an entirely different continent than where you started. 1 degree, every day. That's it. That's the whole game. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Sounds nice, but does it actually work? Show me the numbers. Good. Let's do the math. Imagine you have $10,000 in credit card debt at 18% annual interest. That's a pretty common situation. Millions of people are sitting exactly there right now. Your minimum monthly payment comes out to roughly $250 per month. If you pay exactly $250 every month and nothing more, here's what happens. You'll be debt-free in approximately 5 years and 10 months, and by the time that last payment clears, you'll have paid approximately $7,500 in interest on top of the original $10,000. Total cost, $17,500. For $10,000 you borrowed. Now, let's apply the 1% rule. Instead of $250 a month, you pay 1% more. That means $252.50 per month, $2.50 extra. The difference? You pay off your debt in 5 years and 5 months, 5 months sooner, and you save roughly $420 in interest. Okay, you might be saying, $400. That's nice, but it's not life-changing. Fair, but we're not done. Because the 1% rule is not a one-time thing. It is a compounding habit. So let's say every 6 months you find one more 1%. Maybe you cancel a streaming service. Maybe you pick up one extra shift. Maybe you redirect a small bonus. Every 6 months, your extra payment grows by just 1% more. By year 2, you're paying an extra $15 a month above minimum. By year 3, maybe $35 extra. Still not dramatic, still entirely sustainable. But here's what happens. At that pace of consistent 1% improvements, you eliminate that $10,000 debt in under 3 years instead of nearly 6. You save over $3,000 in interest, and you free up $250 a month in cash flow that you can redirect into savings or investments or your next 1% improvement. $3,000 freed up from a habit that cost you less than a candy bar to start. But here's where it gets truly powerful. Because now you're not just debt-free, you have a habit, you have a system, and you take that same $250 a month that used to go to debt repayment and you begin investing it into an index fund, into a retirement account, into anything that grows. At an average 8% annual return, which is historically conservative for a diversified index fund. $250 a month invested consistently for 20 years becomes over $148,000 from $2.50 extra a month from a candy bar. This is not magic, this is math. Specifically, it's the math of compound interest, what Albert Einstein reportedly called the eighth wonder of the world. The same compound interest that the credit card company used against you. You can flip it, you can make it work for you, but only if you start. And the only way to start is to begin with 1%. A fire doesn't start with an inferno, it starts with a spark. One small, humble, seemingly insignificant spark that you protect and feed until it cannot be stopped. Your 1% is the spark. Now I want to talk about the part that the financial gurus almost never discuss. Because the math is the easy part, honestly. The hard part is this. Why don't people do it? Why, when the math is this clear, when the evidence is this overwhelming, why do millions of people continue to make only minimum payments and wonder why nothing changes? I'll tell you why. It's because of a concept behavioral economists call hyperbolic discounting. Fancy term, simple idea. Human beings are hardwired to value immediate rewards far more than future ones. Our brains evolved over hundreds of thousands of years in an environment where tomorrow was uncertain, so we learned to grab what's in front of us right now. The credit card company knows this. Every buy now, pay later offer, every R% introductory rate, every skip a payment this month promotion, it's all engineered to exploit that ancient wiring. They are playing a chess game against your brain chemistry. And they've been doing it since before you were born. So how do you fight that? Not with discipline alone. Discipline is a finite resource. You run out of it. You run out of it when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you've had a hard week, when life is hard in ways that have nothing to do with money. What you need instead is identity. Here's what I mean. There's a profound difference between these two sentences. I am trying to pay off my debt, and I am someone who manages money with intention. The first is a goal. The second is an identity. Goals can be abandoned. Identities are lived. James Clear, who wrote one of the most important books on habit formation in recent memory, puts it this way. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. When you pay $2.50 extra on your credit card this month, that small, humble, almost embarrassing payment, you are casting a vote. You are saying, I am someone who is building. I am someone who does not let the system win. I am someone who is 1% better today than I was yesterday. Cast enough votes, and you don't just change your behavior, you change who you are. And here's the beautiful thing about identity-based habits. They don't require you to feel motivated. Motivation is weather. It comes and goes. Identity is bedrock. When paying a little extra becomes part of who you are, rather than something you have to do, it stops feeling like sacrifice. It starts feeling like integrity. Think about it like physical fitness. Nobody who runs marathons thinks of running as a punishment. They have an identity. I am a runner. And runners run, even on days when they don't feel like it, even in the rain, even when they're tired, because it's not a task on a list, it's an expression of who they are. The goal isn't to pay off your debt. The goal is to become someone who cannot be kept in debt, someone whose habits are so aligned with financial health that debt can't find a permanent home in your life. That transformation begins with one decision, one tiny, powerful, 1% decision, and it doesn't begin next month, or after the holidays, or when things calm down, or when you get the raise. It begins today. It begin hence today. All right, enough inspiration. Let's talk action, because knowledge without action is just entertainment. Here are 3 specific things you can do today, not someday, not this weekend, today, before you go to sleep tonight. Step 1. Find your 1%. Pull out your phone right now, or when you get home tonight, and open your most painful debt, the one you've been avoiding. Look at the minimum payment. Calculate 1% of that minimum. If your minimum is $200, your 1% is $2. If it's $500, your 1% is $5. Now set up a recurring payment for that minimum plus your 1%. Most credit card companies and loan servicers let you set a custom auto-pay amount. Set it, lock it in, make it automatic so it doesn't require a decision every month. Because decisions require willpower, and we already know willpower runs out. If you cannot afford even 1% more right now, then find it. Go through your subscriptions tonight. Every service you signed up for and haven't used in 30 days? Cancel it. There's your 1%. Most people find $10, $20, sometimes $50 a month in forgotten subscriptions within 20 minutes of looking. Your first 1% is hiding somewhere in your phone right now. Go find it. Step 2. Create a debt dashboard. You cannot manage what you cannot see, and most people avoid looking at their debt because seeing it feels overwhelming. Here's the cure. Make it visible, but make it manageable. Take a single sheet of paper or open a note on your phone and write down every debt you have, name of the debt, total balance, interest rate, minimum payment. That's it. No color coding required. No spreadsheet genius needed. Just the facts, clearly written. Now circle the one with the highest interest rate. That is your target. That is the debt you are attacking first with your 1% extra payments. This is called the Avalanche method. Mathematically, it saves you the most money over time. Every month, when you make your payment, look at that dashboard. Watch the number go down, even by a few dollars, even by 10. Because here's what happens when you see a number go down. Your brain releases dopamine, the same neurochemical that makes social media addictive. You can hack that system. You can make debt payoff feel good by making progress visible, no matter how small. Visible progress is motivating. Invisible progress is defeating. Give yourself the win of seeing that you are moving. Step 3. Set your 1% review date. Here's where most financial plans collapse. They have a beginning but no ongoing rhythm. Tonight, pull out your calendar and set a recurring reminder once every 30 days that says 1% review. On that day, You ask yourself 3 questions. 1. Did I make my extra payment this month? 2. Can I find one more 1% to add? 3. What is one financial behavior I want to improve next month? That monthly review takes 10 minutes. 10 minutes a month. That is the entire maintenance cost of this system. And over 12 months, those 10-minute check-ins compound into a completely transformed financial picture. You don't need a financial advisor to do this. You don't need a special app or a course or a guru. You need a calendar, a phone, and the decision to be 1% better. Step 1. Find your 1% and automate it. Tonight. Step 2. Create your debt dashboard. Tonight. Step 3. Set your 1% review reminder. Tonight. 3 steps. 1 evening. The beginning of a completely different financial future. I want to close with something personal. There is a word in Japanese, Kaizen. It means continuous improvement. It was the philosophy that transformed Japanese manufacturing after World War II. The idea that massive progress is not the result of dramatic single moments, but of thousands of tiny deliberate improvements, stacked day after day, week after week, year after year. The Japanese didn't rebuild their economy by trying to do everything at once. They did it 1% at a time. I want you to think about someone in your life who you believe is good with money. Maybe it's a parent, a sibling, a mentor, a friend, someone who seems to have it figured out. I guarantee you, with near certainty, they did not figure it out in one dramatic moment. They did not receive a windfall that fixed everything. They did not have some secret that you don't have access to. They built it, slowly, imperfectly, with setbacks and restarts and months where nothing went right. They built it with small choices, made consistently over time. The only difference between them and where you are right now is not talent, not luck, not intelligence. It's time. And one decision they made, at some point, on some ordinary day, to start. You are standing at that ordinary day right now. This is it. This is the moment. Not because I said something magical, not because of some mystical alignment of the stars, but because you showed up today. You sat in this room, you opened this conversation, and something in you, some stubborn, unbreakable part of you, refuses to give up. That part of you is right. You are not too far gone. Your debt is not too large. You have not made too many mistakes. There is no financial mess that cannot be improved by 1%. There is no debt so large that it cannot be shrunk, slowly, steadily, relentlessly, by someone who has decided they are worth fighting for. And you are worth fighting for. I think about that person at 2 a.m. staring at the ceiling, and I want to tell them what I'm telling you now. The answer is not a miracle. The answer is not waiting for things to get easier, because they don't get easier on their own. The answer is one small, brave, deliberate move. Pay $2.50 to extra this month. Cancel one subscription tonight. Write down your debt on a single sheet of paper. Start there. Just there. Because here's the truth about compound interest that nobody talks about. It doesn't just apply to money. It applies to habits. It applies to confidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, even a tiny one, you build the muscle of self-trust, and self-trust compounds. After 30 days of keeping your promise, you trust yourself a little more. After 90 days, you trust yourself a lot more. After a year, you are a fundamentally different person than the one who was lying awake at 2 a.m. doing impossible math in the dark. You will not always feel motivated. Some months the 1% will feel like climbing Everest in flip-flops. Do it anyway. Some months life will hit you with something you didn't see coming, and the budget will blow up, and you'll feel like you're back at square one. You are not back at square one. You are someone who has a system. You restart. You find your 1%, you keep going, because consistency beats intensity every single time. Water doesn't carve the Grand Canyon in one afternoon. It does it drop by drop over thousands of years until even the hardest rock has no choice but to yield. Your debt is rock. You are water, and water always wins. The 1% rule is not a financial strategy. It is a declaration. It says, I refuse to be defined by my current circumstances. I refuse to believe that because I am here today, I must stay here tomorrow. I am willing to be a little bit better today than I was yesterday, and I am willing to keep doing that until my life looks completely different from the one I'm standing in right now. That's it. That's the whole speech. That's the whole idea. 1% every day. Start tonight. Thank you. Share.